get my 6. What's up, everybody? So, about 150 years ago, there was this naval ship out in the Atlantic, lost in the fog. They weren't lost per se. They knew where they were going, but they couldn't really see because of the fog. Couldn't see where they were going. This was long before sonar and radar and all that stuff. So they're drifting around in the fog, and they hear a voice say, "Ahoy there, adjust your direction 15 degrees south." So the captain hears this voice coming from behind him. He turns around, and he can see a dim light through the fog. So he goes to the other end of the ship, and he shouts out, "Adjust your heading 15 degrees to the north." And the light's still there, it's not moving. And the voice that he had heard comes back and says, "You need to adjust your heading 15 degrees south immediately." And the captain says, "I will have you know, I am Rear Lieutenant, Full Bird, Colonel, 3-star General, Admiral, whoever, and I am directly ordering you to change your heading 15 degrees north immediately." The voice comes back and says, "Sir, with respect, I'm manning a lighthouse." Well, you can imagine how quickly that captain changed his headings. You've probably heard it said that we can be right or we can be happy. It's a choice thing. You know, there's a lot of times in life we're faced with a situation that's not pleasant. We know that we're in the right, and we know we have every right to maybe it's something we're doing, or it's some sort of belief system we have, and somebody else is impeding on that. They're impeding on that right. They are clearly in the wrong. The story I just told you is really a situation where that high-ranking official, yeah, he outranked whoever was talking back to him because he's the highest-ranking man in the Navy. But he could have remained right and correct and thought, well, you know, I'm the one who gives the orders, you follow him, and him and his entire crew would have been dead, right? I'm walking around. Check out all these. I don't know if they're showing up too much from this angle yet, but there's a bunch of yellow ones up in here now. All these wildflowers. So here's the situation. There were a couple of women that I thought were trying to kill me. I was wrong. Only one of them is. The other one's not. This is a true story. This is crazy. And I mentioned this before on this channel about it's when I'm running in the mornings. There are these 2 women in particular who almost always hit me. I know that one is not doing it intentionally now. She's just always on her phone. She is just always on her cell phone, scrolling, texting, talking. About 2 weeks ago, and this is when I had this aha moment. So I realized, I thought, is she even seeing me? Because there's been times when she's almost hit me that I could tell she was messing around with her gadgets. A couple of weeks ago, this woman actually ended up following us into town. She was behind us, and she's so fast. She wouldn't tailgate, but she was close enough for me to clearly see her through my rear view mirror, side view mirror. And I pointed out to my wife, I'm like, look, there's so-and-so. I know her name. I know where she lives. I said, she's literally holding up her phone and talking on it like I am now as I'm recording this video, the whole time she's driving. And my wife was watching through the mirror. It was scary. I mean, she was behind us for about 12 minutes the entire time. And that's when I had the aha moment. She's not trying to kill me. When she almost kills me regularly, and about a week after that, it's about a week ago, she ran me and Dearly into a field. We were out cycling. Now, when you bike, you go with traffic. You're on the same side of the road. When you run against traffic. So you run on the opposite side of the road. So this way, the drivers can clearly see you coming, and you can clearly see them. And you can hear them. Please don't run with headphones listening to music if you're running where there's cars and stuff. That's one of the dumbest things you can do. Very dangerous. So anyway, she ran us out of the road. We were on the right side of the road, and she came around a turn on our side of the road, which is the wrong side of the road, and dearly just ran off into a field on her bike. So this woman's almost killing people regularly, and it's not intentionally. It's not intentional. She just has to have her cell phone and talk to her, who I believe is her boyfriend. I've seen her with him a couple times. She's married, but listen, I know her and I know her husband, and in my head, I've always thought she's got to have a boyfriend somewhere, because, I mean, whatever. I'm going to leave it at that. And I've pretty much confirmed that she has. So, but then the other one, I now have proof and I have evidence. She's trying to kill me. And I've never spoken to this woman. I know where she lives. I've got photographs. Oh, I'm going to get to that. Here's how I know she's trying to kill me. Again, when you run on the wrong side of the road, so that you're running against traffic, so they can see you, you can see them. And the road where I live out here in the country is pretty narrow. There's not a lot of traffic, just during the morning rush hour and the afternoon rush hour. And typically I don't run during those times. But during the school year, sometimes I am out there when there's traffic, because I can't run until I get my son off onto the bus. 99% of the people out here are polite, courteous, kind. They get over when they see me coming. Now, when I see them coming, I always make sure to look back. Is there anything coming behind me? No, so I don't worry about it. And they move over a couple feet, about half of them wave and smile. When Dearly and I were out biking one other day last week, all these people kept waving. She's like, do you know them? And I'm like, no, I don't know them. She's like, why is everybody waving and smiling? I said, well, number one, they're friendly. I said, number two, I'm as much a part of their morning routine as they are mine. My arm's getting tired holding up the phone. I'll make our way up there to potential potential Bigfoot Sasquatch, see if we see or hear anything. And those that don't wave or smile, whatever, they at least get over. Well, not this one woman. She actually comes at me. She tries to clip me with her side mirror. And I thought, man, there's no way anybody would do this. How could somebody be so miserable and so hateful? They would try to kill a jogger or a runner every time they see him. And so I thought, nah, it's just you. And there's been times like I'll wave my hand, I'll wave my arm so she can see me. Because a lot of times there's no berm. And it's not me pretending to be the rear lieutenant, colonel, 3-star general, admiral on that ship. I'm not out here saying, hey, look, I'm more important than you. You give way to me. There's just times there's no berm to get off onto. There's nowhere to go. And there's nothing coming, and it's been on a straight. You can look back and see for half a mile, and there's nothing coming. She will not move over. She's run me into the briars. So one day last week, and I was taking it easy, just going out and jogging 15 or 20 minutes in the morning, staying loose, because I had a race on Saturday. And my jaw, by the way, had a dislocated jaw. It's doing much better, as you can tell. I'm out of the sling and the brace. So anyway, here she comes. I see her coming. And I happen to be at one of those rare places where you can get out of the way, like big time. So I did. There's actually a wide spot there. I ran into the wide spot, and I was a good 2.5 feet out of the road, off the pavement, and I see her coming, and she's got this hateful, I hate my life and everyone in the world look on her face. And I start smiling, because I'm like, she can't try to get me with her mirror. I'm 2.5 feet off the road. Boy, was I wrong. That woman came off the road into the wide spot and tried to hit me with her mirror, looking at me like she hated my guts the entire time. I had to jump sideways and like this, like you're playing flag football and you're trying to keep them from grabbing your flag. She literally came off the road. Her right tires were off the road in her attempt to hit me with that mirror. So I went home, and I wasn't far from home. I told my wife about it. I said, this woman, I swear to God, is trying to kill me. And we talked about it, and we thought, well, what happens if that does? Well, number one, I'll be dead, right? But number two, if they ever question her, I mean, how easy would it be to just say, if you're in that situation, never been in trouble with the law, no criminal record, and you're like a late 50-ish-year-old woman, and to just say, I feel so bad about it. I see that guy running every morning, and I always, give over or pull over, wide and give him a wide berth, give him plenty of room. And it was the same thing that day. And at the last minute, he just jumped in front of my car. I'm traumatized. I mean, she'd probably try to sue my family, I'm sure. It's the American way, right? Something bad happens, you get trauma, you sue somebody, even if you're the one that causes the incident. And people would say, well, he was a veteran. He's a combat veteran, diagnosed with PTSD, and, 21 or 22 veterans a day commit suicide in this country. And, well, he probably just wanted to go, and he figured he could do it that way and save his family some embarrassment and shame, and no further questions would be asked. And I'd be dead. I'd still be dead. Even if there was a witness and they saw it and she went to prison, I would still be dead. There's like no way I win there, right? So what I did is the next day, I took my phone, and I know what time she comes through, and like I said, I know where she lives. So I waited on one end of my property where those big tall Leland cypresses are in the forest we planted down there. So when she's coming through, I got my phone, and I got very clear video footage of her coming through. It's like a 10-second long video, and I said in it, here comes the woman that tries to kill me with her car every day. And I made sure that in the video you can clearly see her face, you can clearly see the license plate number of her vehicle. And I'm not going to tell you the make and the model and the type and all this, because this isn't where I'm like doxing this woman. I'm just telling you the story because I had a big aha moment. So I did this in 1080, not this 360 that ticks you people off so much. I only upload in 360 because we don't have high-speed internet out here yet, but it's coming, and so are the 1080s, trust me. But I saved this in 1080. I've got it on my phone. I've got it saved in the cloud. And I went into the video, and I paused it, and I took, sorry, I hit a gnat patch. I took screenshots. I zoomed in, took screenshots of her face, of the license plate, printed this stuff off on picture paper, right? So I have this. And so I was going to go to law enforcement and say, hey, look, this is a situation. This woman is clearly trying to kill me with her car. And I know where she is. And I went up she's not far. I went up the road and wrote down the addresses from the mailbox clusters. So I was going to do this the next day, the following day. And I'm laying in bed, and I had a couple of big aha moments, and here they were. The first one was, we can choose to be right, or we can choose to be happy. And what I'm thinking about, because I mentioned this before, an option is something that me and my wife have talked about, is there are several dirt roads around here where you can run for miles and miles and miles and never see a car. This morning I ran 5 miles on one of them. I saw 1 or 2 cars, but they go so much slower because you just have to on these roads. But then, and I thought, well, I could jump in the truck, drive to one of these roads and park. There's a couple places you can park and get out and run on those roads. And then that way I would never be running on this hard-topped road. But then I thought, well, why should I have to do that? Because one of those roads is only 400 meters away and the other road's only 1.5 miles away. Why have to take the time to get in my truck, use the gas, go out there? I was thinking, it's my right to run out here on the road without having some lunatic who, and I don't think it's me. I get the impression this woman hates her life so much, she's probably that way towards everybody she comes across. Never met her, never spoken to her, but by God, she wants to kill me. But I'm laying there in bed, and I thought, how right do you want to be? I mean, do you want to be right enough to where your wife's a widow and your son's an orphan? Yes, you have the right to run on the road. And yes, I'm part of the people that fought for these rights. Well, how would that be to survive combat, go to Iraq, spend all those years in Mindanao, and then come home and get killed just by some bitter, miserable civilian up the road after surviving those places? You know what I mean? But then I remember that story I told you at the beginning of this video about the ship. I'm like, dude, I'm not a lighthouse. That car, there's no way I can win in that situation. So here's how I handled it. A couple days ago, I thought, well, it was yesterday. What was today? Monday, because I did the race Saturday. So Sunday, I wanted to do just a 4-mile recovery run, get the gook out of my legs from the race. And by the way, people were like, how did you do? Because I was going on and on about not doing too well, and I had that dislocated jaw. I had all kinds of excuses. I looked at the results. They finally posted them. There was about 600 runners. I finished 21st overall. Finished second in my age group. The guy that beat me was 45. I'm in the 45 to 49 age group. I'm 48. He was 45, and he got me by 13 seconds. No one younger than me, except, no one older than me beat me. So I guess I was like, but whatever. Just didn't have it that day. Went through the first mile right at 7 minutes like I wanted to do. But see, when you run on a hard surface, every time your foot goes down, you get a return of energy that helps propel you forward. Well, when you run on a soft surface like grass or soil, the earth absorbs that energy, and you've got to actually push off more than you would if you're on a road. It takes much more effort and energy to run the same pace on grass or on a cross-country course as it does on a hard surface or on a track. So whatever. I didn't do bad. I think I did okay. You know, my wife's like, you got 21st out of 600 and blah, blah, you did good. Okay, did good. So the next day I said, you know what? Let's try it. Let's just try this. I know I shouldn't have to get in my truck, go around the corner just to avoid this woman. But I did it, and I discovered something. It was amazing, and I loved it, because it never occurred to me how much anxiety I had when I would go running over fearing when this woman might come around the turn and try to kill me. And the thing about running, it's not just for the physical benefits of it. It's not just the exercise, the health aspects. It's also for the mental health aspects. I mean, you want to talk about you're having a bad day, you feel depressed, maybe you're anxious, or maybe you're ticked off, you're in a bad mood. Go out and go for a run. Man, you'll feel great by the time you're done. You'll have those endorphins kick in. I was missing out. I didn't realize until I ran that 4-mile recovery run, having driven around the corner, gotten out, it didn't occur to me until then just how much of my thoughts, my thought process was consumed of worrying about that woman. And of course, the other woman coming around, just left her husband in the house there, her coming around and she's calling her boyfriend now. Hey, I'm on my way. No, he still doesn't know. He probably wouldn't care if he did. I don't think this guy would care if he knew. Whatever. If you guys read the book, The Lunatic, you ought to read that. That's a good book. I wrote it, and it's available from our Etsy store. The link's in the description box below, and I'll autograph it for you if you get it through Etsy. If you don't want the autograph, you can get it on Amazon. But anyway, it was like, wow, I wish I'd have started doing this sooner, because now I get to enjoy all aspects of the run, not just the physical parts, but I get to be stress-free, anxiety-free, because I'm not worried about one of these women coming around the corner and killing me, either one intentionally or one just because she's talking to her boyfriend on her phone, letting him know that she just left her husband's house, or her house, the house she shares with her husband, when she's on her way to see him. So I was like, I'm going to do this every day. And so I did it again today, did 5 miles this morning, no problems. But here was the other big aha. It's not about, it's not so much about the choosing to be right or choosing to be happy. And that, I think it's wisdom when you get to the point to where you can make those choices and say, okay, yeah, it's not right that I have to drive around here because of a couple of lunatics. But it makes me happier, so I'm going to do it. And I'm not putting my wife and my son in a position to end up widowed and orphaned prematurely. But this big aha moment I had was, okay, so the woman, she obviously hates you. she knows that it's not right, and I think at the last minute she's steering away. The biggest threat is not her. The biggest threat is the woman that's always on her phone, talking to her boyfriend, letting him know she's on her way and the husband's unawares. And it's not just her, it's other people. There have been so many times as a runner I've been on the road when someone's almost hit me, and I know that they had no clue I was even there because I clearly saw them on their phone when they almost hit me. And that's probably the biggest danger. Somebody hitting me and killing me that doesn't even know me and doesn't even know I was there. And I was thinking about laying in bed the other night, thinking about how much have people changed. Because 30 years ago, I was running 30 years ago. I've been running for about 35 years. No one ever almost hit me. And I ran on hardtop roads all the time. And I would run 70 miles a week back in those days. I was, when I was 18, I was running track and cross country in college, 70 miles a week. Never had a near miss. And then the big aha there was, dude, 30 years ago, nobody had an iPhone. Nobody had a smartphone or a whatever their gadget of choice is, Samsung Galaxy. Today, everybody does. So 30 years ago, yeah, they moved over when they saw you because they saw you. Half the people driving vehicles out there do not see the pedestrians. They don't see the runners, the cyclists, the walkers, the deer, the dogs, the kids, because they're looking at their phones. Yes, it is illegal in the state of Virginia to use a handheld device while you're driving. You got to have that thing put down and have the ear pods in or have it on speaker or something. No one cares. I mean, it's like they think that rule is for everyone else, not them. Here's another old analogy. You probably heard the story about this bird. He's out in the middle of a field. He's freezing to death because it's cold. And this cow comes by just before the bird's about ready to freeze to death. Cow takes a big old dump on the bird. Drops a big old cow patty right on top of that little bird. And the bird loved it because it's warm, right? It was the body temperature of the cow. It's like, oh my gosh, this is great. You're my savior. Starts warming up. It's not freezing to death anymore. But then it notices the smell. It's like, oh my gosh, what's that smell? And then it realizes exactly what's going on because it was like almost dead when it happened. Didn't really realize. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm in a pile of, stuff. And so it's like, oh, I got to get out of here. And so it's starting to flap the crap off of its wings and all that. Well, here comes this sly old fox through the field, right? And he says, oh, bird, this is terrible. Somebody came around and crapped all over you. Oh, that must be terrible. And the bird's like, yeah, it is. So the fox says, well, here, I'm going to help you. Let me help get you out of this mess. And the bird's like, oh, that's great. You're wonderful. You're willing to help me? And the fox says, sure I am. Here, let me help. And he goes, lick, lick. The bird's like, oh, this is great. And then chomp, eats the bird. So the moral of this story is this. Just because someone craps on you doesn't mean they're necessarily doing you an injustice or a disservice. And just because it might appear as if someone's trying to help get you out of a bad situation doesn't necessarily mean they are. So how this relates to my situation is that this woman, this mean, angry, bitter curmudgeon of a woman who hates the world and everyone in it, I've chosen to go to the dirt roads now, take the truck, run on the dirt roads to avoid her. And at first my thoughts were, I can't believe I'm doing this because of one mean old meanie. But now thinking about it, about the other woman who's always on her phone and all these other people who are always on their phone who have almost hit me without even knowing I'm there, I realized that big meanie did me a favor. Just like that cow in the field. So I hope you guys got something out of this. Be safe out there. Keep these things in mind. If you're a walker, a jogger, a runner, a cyclist, please be safe out there. There are some wonderful people out there who would never intentionally harm a soul, who I fear are going to end up killing some pedestrians because they just can't put their phone down and drive. Please do not. Don't watch my videos if you're driving a car. Don't watch anything. Put your phone down and drive. See you for more next time.